Peace. Hello, and welcome to Not Church. So, where on earth are you? Let us know in the chat. I'm going to say good morning to folks who I didn't say good morning to. I see Catherine. Hi, Catherine, and Helen, and Mino in Italy. Wow, cool. Catherine, good morning. And Carmen in Texas, good morning, everybody. And everybody else who's going to be showing up in a moment or so. Not Church is no doctrine, no dogma, no Bravo, Sierra. This week, a special request of sorts from an anonymous Christian who tried to trap me. Anonymous challenged me with this passage where Jesus said, "But I say to you, every man who looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery in his heart." Got Jimmy Carter in trouble in the United States. The wider context of this passage reveals a much deeper meaning than the superficial honey trap this anonymous Christian set for me. Anonymous, I'll answer you publicly today. Friends, we're going to cover a lot in today's not sermon. Is that a good term? Someone used it this week. Should I use that term? I don't even know what to call these things. If you have an idea or an opinion on that, say so in the chat, or better yet, in the comments. Today, Jesus, the honey trap, and the fires of hell. Matthew 13, 21 through 32. This came by that strange request, and it was really a challenge, actually, which requires this fuller answer. And hey, if you've been listening for a while and you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe, and thanks. Peace. So, but before we begin, let's begin as we always do, friends. Let's quiet our minds using our breath and settle into our inner silence, breathing, and your prayer chants from the bottom of your bellies, out your noses for beginners, and maybe you want to be using your third eye for more advanced people. First, we'll begin with 3 ohms, and then we're going to take a few breaths of the centering silence of all of our thoughts during practice. So, okay, settle yourselves in. I'm going to sit back a little bit, take off my glasses, relax my legs, my thighs, my back, my arms, my face, my neck. In breath, relax, follow your breath, say your chant. Aim your heart at God. Jesus, the honey trap, and the fires of hell. Context matters in this chapter, and the verses I'm about to read and comment upon consist as a collection of sayings smooshed together in one chapter from different places and different times, smooshed and placed in one chapter. Maybe, according to the early Christian tradition, by someone named Papias of Hierapolis between 85 and 95 in the Christian calendar. And today we're going to be doing deconstruction and reconstruction from the Gospel of Matthew, which may have been written by this guy, Papias. This week, Christian noticed what I'm doing, deconstruction, and he ordered me to stop. Nope. So Matthew 13, 21 to 32. You've heard it said, you shall not murder, and whoever murders shall be liable to judgment. But I say to you that if you're angry with your brother or sister, you'll be liable to judgment. And if you insult a brother or sister, you will be liable to the council. And if you say, you fool, you will be liable to the hell of fire. Whatever bad thoughts you thought might bring judgment upon you. Murderous thoughts, angry thoughts, insulting thoughts, labeling thoughts make us liable to judgment, to the council, and to the fires of hell, according to this passage. And I've been through hell for my actions, which, of course, arose from my thoughts. The worst case of my suffering in the fires of hell, that was in my thoughts and in my feelings. And in my actions, too. There was a relationship between my thoughts, my feelings, and my actions. Because my actions caused the actual pain to my victims, emotionally or physically. But all of my actions originated in my thoughts, or in a deeper sense, in the hurts of my own. What I thought, what I felt, I projected in action. So when you're offering your gift at the altar, Matthew continues, if you remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First be reconciled to your sister or brother, and then come and offer your gift. So if your brother or your sister or someone who isn't your sister or your brother, just a child of God, if someone has a bad feeling toward you because of something that you did, not thought, did, leave your gift on the altar of your heart and go be reconciled at the altar of your brother or sister's heart. Simply say from your heart, I'm sorry. No justification, no explanation. This kind of reconciliation happens often on deathbeds. When the son says, or the mother says, sorry, and then a human and heavenly healing happens at that moment. And then, healed in heart, you return to your inner altar where we surrender our false selves. And on the deathbed, you don't carry that hurt with you. Matthew continues. Come to terms quickly with your accuser while you are on the way to court with him or her, or your accuser may hand you over to the judge, and the judge to the guard, and you'll be thrown into prison. Now, coming to terms usually means some kind of payoff. Come to terms with this person who's accused you. And it usually or often means some kind of payoff agreement, then to let the matters drop after that. And corporations come to terms with accusers instead of going before the court all the time. Better to come to terms than to be thrown in jail. And Jesus sounds similar to Buddha, who said, what you think, you become. What you feel, you attract. What you imagine, you create. You are what you think. You make your thoughts. Your thoughts make your world. Your thoughts are you, and your karma are problems that are fixable. This is what I learned in death. My thoughts were karma that were fixable because they were attached to my actions, and my actions were forgiven. But my thoughts that were just thoughts, they didn't really matter. Now, I know that some of you, maybe even me, maybe had some murderous thoughts. Oh, I'll kill that guy, or some angry thoughts. Oh, that fool. And I know I've insulted my brothers and my sisters, the ones I like, my biological ones, and the ones who are just my friends. And I've said, you fool. And my thoughts and actions, well, when they became actions, they condemned me. And the action might just be saying you're a fool. And in the hearing of that person, that's action enough. Now, I ever, how can every negative thought I've ever had damn me to hell? I mean, wouldn't we all be there then? So what the hell, Jesus? What about the guy who cut me off and then flipped me off in rush hour traffic, who ticketed me and I flipped him back? Does that count? Yeah, probably. Because I flipped him back. But if he never knew that he cut me off and he never saw me and I didn't do anything, I just kind of swallowed my thoughts. Not so much, but that definitely hurt me. Now, every day in my life, I know I'm having thoughts and actions that are fully known by the knower of all of me. And I'm naked always, every day before the divine. And I trust in the love of my beloved, the one that holds me and promises to me was, is, and always will be love greater than all time and space. I carry this in my heart. And I set it for myself the goal here. And I try to live through that. And so when I have bad thoughts, I refocus my mind and my heart there as best as I'm able. And when I have negative thoughts, I do my best not to act on them. But that anonymous Christian, that busy bee, he set his honey trap for me by sending screenshots of a conversation I'd had on a near death experience wall on Facebook about masturbation after someone asked me what I thought. And I said sexual release is as natural and necessary as sleeping, eating, breathing, drinking, and toileting. Masturbation is natural and necessary. It's helpful, even. The busy bee said to me, well, what about this? You've heard it said that if you commit adultery, you'll go to hell. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. It's better for you to lose one of your members than your whole body and be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and toss it away. It's better for you to lose a member of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. Now, might not every living man be one eye blind and left handed if Christian culture followed his prescription? What about the women who eyeball men? Them too. And the gay and lesbian couples, what about them? Do asexual people think lustful thoughts? I don't know. Is Jesus saying you are what you think, and if you think about lust, you get thrown into hell? Is that what he's saying? Or it's better to lose an eyeball or a hand, cut off a body part? In this way of thinking, in this way of being a human being and soul, if you think murderous thoughts, then you are a murderer. Jesus uses extreme examples, or maybe extreme examples were written into his mouth by Papias of Hierapolis. We don't really know. But imagine with me, and oh, be careful not to imagine too much. When you see the sexy person whose bones you want to jump on, and you're married, and you think about it, and you maybe you reject it, and you don't. Are you damned to hell? Uh, Does intent without action matter? The early church mystic named Origen was accused of castrating himself, presumably out of a desire to stop a desire. Now, Origen, of course, denied the accusation, but neither party presented any evidence. In my own hell, I learned and still know that every action, every thought, every touch, every idea that I lived throughout into experience, into action, into words, every one of those things, well, they were forgiven by the all-merciful, the all-compassionate, who knows every dark and bright corner of my life, of my mind, of my emotions, of my imaginations, of my dreams, my visions, my daily steps, and my breath. Nothing of me is missing in the live recording of my life from the inside out. And I see all my thoughts being seen by the seer of all. That eyeball is everywhere and in everything. And I died before I was married, so I can't say that lustful thoughts and eyeing young women, when I took matters into my own right hand, or, I mean, those didn't come up. That's all I'm saying. They did not come up. What I saw and what I felt and experienced was from the actual pain I caused. And the thoughts without action, they didn't matter. And I know that this is not what Jesus was saying. And I know that controlling our thoughts matters because that's what we learn to do in our centering practice, because we are what we think. But I wasn't judged for them. Had a little fly on the camera there. There were no judgments for thoughts, just for actions. And I judged myself. Plus, I was forgiven and loved and blessed and welcomed. And love was my salvation. Did Jesus mean we become what we think? So we better stop having negative thoughts before it becomes action? Probably, yeah. Or was he saying that thoughts have some real and lasting spiritual substance? I think it's the former. I think when thoughts become actions, then they have value. And the value they had for me when I was dead was a negative one. St. Augustine wrote, "Love God and do what you will." And not every NDEer takes a trip through hell, you know. It's few of us who do. Maybe, probably, I think that the religion of my youth must have played a role in the flaming and the cleansing encounter with purgative love. Probably. But if every bad or negative judgmental thought or negative emotion that I've ever had or that you've ever had were piled up before you or before me, how many body parts would either of us have left? Does it matter if we control our thoughts? Yes, I practice silencing my mind so as not to poison myself with my own thoughts. But not because I'm being judged for them, but because I want to be in the purity of the light itself. And to control my actions, to control my responses and circumstances. So I think thoughts do matter. But I don't think that they're the cause for us to be tossed into hell. If you have murderous thoughts, and those murderous thoughts lead to murder, well then, yeah. So I hope this helps. Please let me know in the comments what you think. Would you have any body parts left? Oh, you know what else? When I was dead, I didn't take my body with me. So my body wasn't really cast into hell. It was my astral self, which suffered, okay? Don't misunderstand me. One last thing. I expect and have lived my life with the understanding that some of my actions in my life arise from my thoughts and my emotions. They've caused pain to people in my real life now. And this may cause me to pass through another hell of my own making. I've lived my life the best I can, with goodness with a capital G in mind, and my heart knowing that I would leave a trail of hurt behind me. We all leave a trail of hurt behind us. It's half of what makes us equal, that we all hurt each other. It's sort of the equality of being a human. One of those things that we should judge other people less for because we're actually the same way. So we didn't make our brainy animal selves. We didn't write the code of the universe that is secretly made of love and exponential and experientially made of suffering that we give each other. There's these two things here all the time. As often as I can, I choose love, and I try to silence my mind so that my thoughts don't turn into negative actions. And if they do, I seek forgiveness where I can. And that's about it. So, my friends, thanks for tuning in today. And we're going to continue at the top of the hour at 11 a.m. and our Zoom conversation at Mystic Tea Salon, which is a crowdsourced wisdom community of mystical experiencers. And you can find the link down below. Not Church comes to you weekly through the generous support of our listeners using Patreon and PayPal. Thank you. If Not Church gives you hope or inspiration, understanding, or ideas, please visit peterpanagore.love and look for the spinning red heart. And thank you, Kristen. You wouldn't have any body parts left either? Yeah, me neither. So comment in the comments. Would you have any body parts left? I'd have none. 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 I take requests, by the way. If there's some issue or verse or idea you want me to explore, let me know in the comments or drop me an email at peterpanagore.love. Thanks for spending your time with me. I hope this has been helpful to you. Thanks, Catherine, for being our moderator today. I'm going to take a look at the comments over here and see what's going on. Going to make an adjustment in my computer to do that. Here we go. The only unforgivable sin is blasphemy of the Holy Spirit, a total rejection of God. Mark 3. Yeah, Clark. Hi, Peter from Albuquerque. Hi, Carol. Carmen, Panagore's method for escaping hell before I even get there makes sense to me. Well, except for the hells I created during this life, but the same method helps me escape now. Yeah. Thanks for saying so, Carmen. Primary feathers, I seek to forgiveness from others, then the Creator. Yeah, because when you get forgiveness from others, you kind of get forgiveness from Creator at the same time. Sometimes you can't get forgiveness either, but you can still aim your heart at the Creator and ask for forgiveness there. Sometimes people don't forgive you, for whatever reason that they have. But you do your best and you try to get forgiveness. And hey, thank you, just the person who gave me something from PayPal just now. Popped up in my phone. I choose love, yes, only to realize I am love, a drop of love from the ocean of love. Benjamin, exactly. Choose love. That's all I'm talking about. No body parts left, Laurie. I believe in a loving God, not a punishing one. Yeah, same here. Loving God, not a punishing one. Self-love. Self-love is self-forgiveness. You self-compassion. Stop beating yourself up for stuff. Get forgiveness from people, and when they give it to you, forgive yourself. No need to beat yourself up. Loving God is loving God. Clark, Jesus was speaking hyperbole, not literally, when he said you should pluck out your eye, and even if you okay, I'll read this better. Jesus was speaking hyperbole, not literally, when he said you should pluck out your eye, because even if you did, your thoughts are still adulterous. He meant inwardly crucifying the imagination. Baboom. Baboom. Thank you so much for that, because that's what we're talking about. We're inwardly crucifying the imagination. Clark, thank you. This practice of silencing the thoughts is the crucifixion of the imagination, of the thoughts of the mind, to control. Well, to what? To control the thoughts in order to enter into silence. Yeah, I use it too, that way, whenever I need to. Good morning, Reverend. Hey, Stardust. Sean, Peter, do you believe what Clark Kent said is true? Is it really an unforgivable sin, blasphemy? I don't think there's any way to really reject God because we are made out of the divine substance. You can put up resistance to God, I think. I don't know. I suppose that there are people who reject God so fully that they can't see the divine light when they're presented with it. But that was just not my experience. There was the overwhelming nature of the divine was, well, it was self-evidently overwhelming. It was like being a drop in the ocean. I can't imagine it. Do I know it? I don't know because there are things I don't know, but I can't imagine it. The power of love is just so overwhelming, and everyone is made of the divine itself. And so ultimately, no one is ever lost. So you can't actually reject the divine self. And if everything's made out of the divine. So that's where I'm at with that. Thank you, Nancy. Does brain mental illness condemn us? Of course not. How can you be at fault for your DNA or for the way that your brain works? See, this is where the whole thing breaks down. Are you to blame for your DNA? Are you to blame for brain disease? No, of course not. You don't even have a brain when you die. You don't take it with you. Up there, LOL. I have experienced that once love has been experienced in a human, it shows. I've experienced this love and it's changed everything. To know love is to accept all forms and representations of it. Benjamin, yes. Same here. Discussion, sermon? Discussion versus sermon? Yeah, I asked that question. That's a good question. It is kind of a discussion. I don't ask people to believe me. I just want to present ideas. I'm presenting ideas because I want to strip away the the layers of things that are in the way of the divine presence itself. And a lot of those things are theological. Thank you so much, Peter. I'm so glad to have a chance to see and hear you this morning. Love your non sermons. Thanks, Ray. Non sermons. Objectifying and demeaning people, especially women, by the use of pornography is different from masturbating because you're needing physical release. Someone said that, and I will. I was given the choice to show or hide. I don't know what I'll do with that. I'll think about that. I don't know why I wouldn't. Um, yeah, anything that causes harm to a person, you don't want to support. No support for hurting another person. And that includes pornography. Yes, indeed, you can get away from the creator looking inside or out. Yes, indeed, you can't get away from the creator looking inside or out. No, you cannot escape. There's no escape. Everything is seen. Thank you, Alfred, for the super chat. Thank you. I choose love, says Kate. Me too. Instead of not church, how about soul school? Oh, that's good. Soul school. I'd have to rebrand, but I, that's interesting. Soul school. I'll think about that. God is both love and justice. God is a punishing God and a rewarding God, as Scripture has taught. I don't know, Clark, about that. I did not experience that when I was dead, Clark. That's just that. I definitely went through hell, but it was self punishment. God wasn't punishing me. I punished myself and the divine presence of love. The problem is that most people have spiritual experiences outside of the body that they negate judgment. I don't know. I went through judgment, but it was self judgment, and God didn't cause me the pain. I caused it to myself. I don't know what to say about that other than that. Thanks, Laurie. Seeking forgiveness doesn't work as well for me as making amends because I can't always get forgiveness, but I can do my part to make amends. Thank you, Laurie. You can try to make amends. That's a way. Yes, that's really good. Thank you for saying that. Absolutely. Thanks for the super chat, and thanks for saying that. You can make amends. A minister once told me our emotions, immediate thoughts are animal, instinctive, but we have free will. So it's what we do with those emotions, thoughts that matter. How we affect others matters, Ray. That's what I'm saying. It's what you do that makes a difference. Beth, organized religion and interpretations of the Bible chased me away from God years ago. Your deconstruction of Scripture have helped me bring me back. I'm glad to hear that, Beth. Um, we're doing our best over here. Thanks for saying so. Hey, Charlie, I'm still not a Christian, and it's not necessary, nor is religion. God and Jesus, etc., are not dependent on religion. That's right. Jesus wasn't even Christian. And God's not Christian either. Sean, at Charlie, same, but I believe God knew what I had to go through to make my way back. Hey, thank you, someone else who just gave a PayPal too. I appreciate that. Popped up on my phone. The only punishment I received was my own. I even doubled up on it, Vince. That's what happened to me. I punished myself. Thank you, Vince, for saying that. Thank you. Yes. Primary feathers, well said, at Laurie. Makes sense, Sean. Vince sees laughing. Petra, think and feel and act with your soul perception. See how things are going to change. Want to expand on that a little bit? I mean, I reach out with my soul for sure. I definitely do that. And I aim with my heart at my soul perception of the divine, and I live through that lens. Is that what you mean? Mermaid 15, I can be willing to forgive our childhood, but that doesn't always truly let go of the pain and loneliness experienced. True enough. Got to go to therapy to help that through because those experiences, they link to emotional memories, and those emotional memories have a lot of power in us. They often define us or define certain aspects of us. This is a human part of us. I pay it forward though with love and helping others. Right, exactly. If you can't fix that emotional thing, you can still pay the love forward. That's an excellent way of working out your karma. I do the same thing too. It's funny how that all works, that we all end up doing similar things. I agree, Beth, says Alfred. Also, I have a dose of pride, so seeking forgiveness is a hard task, says Laurie. Yeah, it depends on the thing. If you don't need forgiveness for it, then you don't. But if you're humility, love is humility, forgiveness is humility, forgiveness is compassion. And they're talking a lot about more like seeking forgiveness and I'm sorry, so just saying I'm sorry kind of mends things. Love is humility. Forgiveness is love. Love is forgiveness. Love is humility. It's all the one thing. Yes, says Petra. Catlight Sparkles. I once heard that the mind's eye is really seeing with the soul. Yeah. The eye wherein I see God, God sees me, wrote Meister Eckhart. The mind's eye is the sight of the soul. Definitely, that's exactly how I live it. That's what it is inside me. My sight is imperfect, of course, but the purity it sees isn't. Just me is. It's magical to me how every path that human takes in their journey always has an opportunity to see and find the light, or what you call what I lost that. It flipped up. What it will call it, what you will. Sorry. All roads lead to Rome. They do. Charlie, Peter, I made a comment earlier on rejecting God and Jesus in response to someone else's comment. They eventually made themselves known to me in a very loving way. Beautiful. This is what it's all about. I'm glad they did, Charlie. I'm glad you said that to me. Yes. Just want to say thank you and hello. Hi, Jenny. Thank you. Sending love right back at you. Peace and love to you. Kendall, Charlie, remember that Jesus was not a Christian and you're in good company. He was not. Right on, Ken. Stardust, at high levels of empathy, one can often experience the pain and abuse that the perpetrator experienced as well. And then you know fully, and it's easier to forgive. Yeah, that's kind of powerful stuff right there. And we've talked about forgiveness in the past, especially around issues of abuse and trauma. We won't cover much of that today, I don't think. Clark, Judgment Day hasn't occurred yet. Well, mine did. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, Clark. And now I'm assuming that your name is not really Clark Kent, but maybe it is, but maybe it's not. But I went through judgment. I in near-death experiences by the millions of us have, and the judgments. Those of us who go through the judgments, we judge ourselves. At least that's what I read. And I definitely went through judgment. So we can't necessarily use our spiritual experience beforehand in order to attempt to nullify the truth of Christ and all the Christian has taught concerning the judgment. I don't think that the church has the truth of Christ. That's what I'm talking about here. And I think Jesus was far. I think that the writers around Jesus didn't understand him because they couldn't see him for the light that he was. And so that they deified him and came up with Jesusology, the deification of Jesus, and he never talked about that at all. That's a thing that happened that after he died. But, I don't know what to tell you, Clark. I went through judgment. Judgment Day came for me, and you have no idea until you go yourself. So, and the tens of millions of near-death experiences around the world who have experience, I don't know what to say. People forget that I'm sorry is incredibly powerful in healing. Often it's all the amends needed. That's right. I'm going to read that again. People forget that I'm sorry, saying I'm sorry is incredibly powerful in healing. Often it's all the amends needed. Thank you for reminding us. Well, I didn't read that part, but thanks. Yeah, no excuses, no explanations, just I'm sorry because what you're really sorry for is hurting, causing pain. Period. That's what I'm sorry for anyway. I'm sorry that I hurt people. Carmen, love to y'all too. Cartlight, Peter, have you ever heard of heaven referred to as the city of light and love? Yes, I have. Eben Alexander kind of went to a place like that, the city of light and love. I've heard it coming from myself, from within myself. Well, yeah. I mean, that's what that whole thing about Jerusalem, the New Jerusalem, is about the city of light and love. It's all metaphor, of course, but yes. Stardust, this has happened to me. In my mystical experience, I saw in news the suffering that caused my abuser to be an abuser. See, this kind of thing happens. You can see deeply empathetically into another person. Just like you just said, Rachel, that's a powerful thing to say because no doubt your abuser caused you trauma and yet you were able to see their pain. It's powerful. I'd love to know how that impacted your life going forward. That's a powerful experience. The church bought and sold the truth. I think they used Jesus for their own sick human power grab. There's definitely some of that. But a lot of it was just misunderstanding. A lot of it was just, they didn't understand that he had been in the light because he's talking in metaphor and it's just hard to comprehend. Judgment Day is every day. Some of us died and got handed a receipt of it all. And I'm one of them, says Vince. Yeah. The Judgment Day is every day. Vince, yes, that's how I feel. That's how I live my life. That's what I'm talking about. Is every single day it feels like that to me. I'm like, oh, I should say I'm sorry. Oh, I should say I'm sorry. And people are like, don't say sorry. I'm like, of course I'm going to say sorry. Thanks, Vince, for bringing that in. My experience was that the wonderful, beautiful Holy Spirit loved me every single bit. My experience gave me much more compassion for everyone. Kate, yes, exactly. Loved me every single bit. I went through this self-judgment and then turns out I was beloved. And I got to, like you, Kate, like us, like Vince, get to bring some of that back with me. It's just so wonderful. I'm so glad you're here, Kate. And you too, Vince. And everybody, of course. My experiences with Christ left me feeling that Christ's message was that we are not our sins and we deserved unconditional love no matter what. We are not our sins and we deserve unconditional love. That's the message. That's what he brought. That's what he said. That's what he meant. God is just and bigger than theology. Same, Kate. Deserve love. No one deserves love. Grace equals undeserved favor. Yeah, you're loved because you're made of love. When I died, Clark, you dropping in here. You're not really. I've seen you around, but if you read back, saw some of my previous videos, you would know that it was undeserved love. I didn't deserve the love. I didn't deserve forgiveness. You're made of this unconditional love at the very core of your being. So you are beloved. You are beloved, whether you deserve it or not, because it's unconditional. That's what happened to me when I died, when I went through judgment and came out the other side. I was given unconditional love. Did I deserve it? No, but I was love. I am love. I am made of love. I'm made of light at the core of myself, just like you. Um, I came from an abusive home, and I can't understand why someone with experiences like mine would go on to abuse another. I've worked in child protection. I've never understood why abusers abuse because they're hurting, Charlie, sorry, because they're hurting. Because you've dealt with your pain. You faced your pain. You looked right in the face of your pain. You walked into your trauma. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people, their wounds, they use their wounds to wound others. That's what happens. When Jesus turned over the tables of the money table, when Jesus turned over the tables of the money changers in the temple, he was illustrating the misuse of religious power. He was. That's what he was doing. Benjamin was going to say the same thing. Okay. Thanks for sorting all through the biblical misconceptions and getting down to the truth of the teachings. A heartfelt "I'm sorry" benefits me even more if it's rejected, says Benny. You're welcome. And yes, you can offer it, and if it's rejected, it comes back on you. It's sort of what Jesus was talking about when you say peace and the house doesn't accept the peace and it comes back to you. It's the same sort of thing. All you can do is offer your apology. I'm sorry. Love is not stronger than depression. Is love not stronger than depression? Love is the strongest thing in the universe, stronger than the universe. Love is all there is. God is love. Nothing is stronger than love. Divine love. Vince, thank you, Peter, for giving me a place where it makes sense. Amen to that. I'm glad you're here, Vince. Thanks for commenting all the time. Turns out I'm beloved. That should be oh my gosh, I gotta, like, what's going on? I can't see the screen or something. I gotta lean in a little here. It turns out I'm beloved. That should be in a song. Yes. Do you want to write it? We got, we have a writer in the audience, Wild. Maybe you could write a song about that. Stardust. People who are traumatized go into some form of unconscious amnesia. You came to break that cycle within your family, probably an old soul. At Charlie, says Stardust. Yes, you can break the cycle. You've broken the cycle. This is super important. It's super important for your kids, and you already know that, right? So domestic violence is handed down through generations in many cases, but you're breaking the cycle. So thank you on behalf of your kids, my God, and their kids, and all the way down the line. Thanks for sharing your similar experience. It's jumping up, and I can't always catch everything that's being said. Hey, from Switzerland. Hi, Michael in Switzerland. I hope love casts out fear and depression too. It does. Well, when you die, it definitely does. There's no room for any of that kind of stuff. That you don't even carry it with you. You can't bring it with you. No fear, no depression. And in lifetime, you can. Well, I've had depression in my lifetime. I aim at the love, and I rely upon it. How does it work in me? I cling to the love and my darkness. sometimes when I'm dark. And I had a lot of darkness when I came back from my near-death experience, because when I first came back from that first one for decades, because I was lost and lonely in the world and it was dark here. But I clung to the light and the love. And there I found my strength and my Redeemer. And the valley, I walked through the valley of the shadow of darkness and I emerged into the meadow of light. So, yeah, it casts out fear and depression too. Unconditional. It's an unfathomable concept for the mind. Can't be grasped. Definitely true. I'm sorry you experienced trauma. That Charlie. Oops, cat light sparkle. Sorry about that. Let's see. Yes, facing your trauma allows you to speak the cycle. And I also saw my abuser's pain and his abuser's pain. Carmen. So you see where it came from. You saw where it came from. Wow. And how did that change you, Carmen? Jesus Christ is the fullness of the deity in human flesh. Corinthians 2. Jesus said, "Those who have seen me have seen the Father." Jesus also prayed to the Father above. Jesus also said, "I only do what I see my Father's doing." Pardon me. I only do what I see my Father doing. So, anyway, Peter, do you think humans are capable of unconditional love, like really, truly unconditional love? I think people are capable of unconditional love. I think that's shown in when people die for other people, when they give their life, as Jesus said, for other people. That's placing them above yourself. So, yes. And I also think that many parents show as close to unconditional love as it's possible. Um, I think that other people have unconditional love for other people when they hurt themselves, when they're being abused. I mean, that happens all the time. You love this person even though they hurt you, and you can't not love them. That doesn't mean you have to take abuse. Okay, that's another story. But yeah, I think, but not in comparison to God. Okay, so in comparison to the divine being, no. Unconditional love from heaven is far greater, far, far greater. It's truly unconditional with a capital U. Thank you, Lori. Lori says, in the here and now, is there some way to know who you have hurt if they don't say anything and you don't know you hurt them? Not that I know of, but I just continue to aim my heart at the divine and ask forgiveness there. But no, I don't know how that's possible. Um, how do you get forgiveness from someone you don't even know you hurt? Well, you don't know. Thank you. There's another PayPal. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Quite the PayPal day. Thank you for your support. I aim my heart at the divine, Laurie, because I know that in my life, I continue to hurt people I don't even know that I've hurt. And people have hurt me and they don't even know it. And so if God, me, and others in this triangle of love, this trinity of love, God, me, other, if I can't go from me to other love, I can go from me to God love. And that connection can go down to that person. So even if they don't know it, I can work on my own self in the divine presence, seeking love. I hope that makes sense. Funny thing about depression and love, you can lose either one in either one. I haven't quite found my way around it. Unfortunately, depression and love are both very real. They are. And you can have both at the same time. I lived in unconditional love. I live in unconditional love, but I've had depression at the same time. So I cling to the love itself. That's my light in the darkness. It's the best I can do. Did it really get rid of it? It was a long process, yes, so it did, but it took a long time. But in the midst of the darkness, I found that if I clung to the light, at least I had stability. Do our thoughts have energy? I'm checking the time. Do our thoughts have energy that can affect others? I believe in sending positive energy to others through prayer and meditation. Is the alternative true with negative thoughts? Ooh, there's an interesting question. We all pray for each other. Do we curse each other? That's an interesting thought. E. Murray, do our thoughts impact the world? Hmm. Clever. Clever thinking. We should explore that because, at least in my judgment, they didn't matter. My thoughts that didn't come into action didn't really make a difference. But I do pray for people. I do send them positive energy. I don't know how to send negative energy. When I pray for people and I send them positive energy, it's a physical expression. I'm pushing out, I'm pushing toward them the light itself. I'm getting out of the way and pushing toward them the light itself. My negative thoughts all seem to stay inside my head, but I never have pushed out negative thoughts at people. Not that I know of, not intentionally. Very good question. Unto us a child is born, a son is given. Yeah, I know all that stuff too. Thanks for bringing it up, though, Clark. Ditto, Vince. Yes, this makes sense. Hey, I'm going to get going in a couple of minutes. You can meet us at Mystic Tea Salon if you want to, and the link's below. I believe they do, and we have, they have rules at Mystic Tea Salon about civility and all that stuff. Everybody's very civil here today, including you, Clark. I appreciate it very much. So thanks, man. In my estimation, yes, our thoughts can color other people's experience. I'd like to hear more about that. Peter, thank you so much for sharing that you dealt with depression. I struggle a lot with it. It's a relief to know that I'm not alone in the spiritual experiences plus depression. Yeah, I did, Rachel, for a long time. It was freaking dark here. I was like, why did I come back? I prayed every day to die. So yeah, and it doesn't, it didn't stop the love flow. Okay, the love flow is still present, but I was still in darkness. You can have both at the same time. It's sort of a weird thing, but yeah, you're welcome. You're not alone with that, Rachel. There are people who do feel that energy. Well, let's talk about that, Tiffany. They feel I have felt negative energy coming off of people. That's for sure. I mean, I've walked by people in Portland, Maine, when I was in Portland a lot, and I've definitely felt the negative energy coming off them like a waveform. That's for sure. And that affected me. But it was more than just their thoughts. It was their whole presence. It was this radiant presence. Thoughts are powerful, and we can definitely punish ourselves with them. Meditation helps find a way to peace and gratitude, Ellen. We can definitely punish ourselves with our thoughts. That's what we do. We have very little self-compassion most often. We'll put an arm around a friend and say, "Oh, that's not so bad. You'll buck up. You'll be fine." But to ourselves, we're like, "You fool. What did you do that for?" And it's all in our heads. So self-compassion, meditation, find a way to peace, control those thoughts. Thoughts are powerful. Jim, a child learns to win parents' love. Our survival depends on it. We learn who we need to be loved. Oh, yeah, totally true. Yep. Guilt tries to keep us in that box. Guilt can cause self-harm. Do no harm is a better guide. Do no harm. I like that. I've only got a couple of minutes left here. I keep looking at the clock. Do no harm. I really like that. I think about that a lot, actually. It's the first do no harm is the motto of the Physicians Association. First do no harm. My mother accidentally made my dad very sick with a negative thought towards him. It scared her, and she vowed never to do that again. She thought she was just venting. Did she speak her negative thoughts? Wow, that's interesting. We all have faults, and even the best among us can unwittingly hurt others on occasion. Totally true. I'm okay with being a fallible human. Me too, Clint. But on the whole, I try to aim best I can for goodness and kindness. That's all we can do, Clint. I do the exact same thing. I aim for the best that I can. And thanks for saying that. So true, Jim, says Ellen. Definitely. I think that assuming negative thoughts by themselves can affect others is to give negativity too much power, says Catlight. It seems that way to me too, Catlight. All right. On that word, my friends, it is now 10:55. I'll see you in about 5 minutes at Mystic Tea Salon. And I'm going to take a little break and I'll see you there in about 5 minutes. Peace and love to you all. Thanks for being here. If you've been watching for quite a while and you haven't subscribed, subscribe, please. You're quite welcome. Peace and love, everybody. Peace and love. See you soon. Oh yeah, link Mystic Tea Salon link is below. Peace, love. See y'all. Namaste.